I'm actually really surprised that I'm getting engagement on YouTube when I'm backing up some of my more recent videos. So I just had some comments on my recent video where I talked about Dr. Umar and Charlie Kirk, and love y'all on YouTube. So when I can, I will write a response out to you guys. But if not, I'm just going to use y'all for content like I do with the TikTok people and just record a video to respond to you. So, Jamel Lorick says, I'm reading from my phone. Umar was making a point. If they can unalive Charlie Kirk, then they can unalive him. Not arguing that. No one should be unalive for words, no matter how uncomfortable they are. He wasn't supporting Charlie Kirk, and if y'all don't understand that, you have very low comprehension. I don't know if I said that in the video. I don't know. I've noticed that people on YouTube are reacting quite strongly to some of my videos, and maybe even on TikTok, because I did get a community guideline strike for being shocked about Charlie Kirk's passing. So maybe I'm not communicating well. Maybe it's on me, but I also think there might just be some projection on other people's side as well, because I've done a few videos on Charlie Kirk, and I have said explicitly that, he had a family, and that, I can feel for his family in light of this passing. And, am I celebrating him being taken out the way he was? No. I am not a fan of people being hit or being attacked or being taken out for the things that they say, no matter how repugnant. That said, I don't know if I care much for debates either, because the reality of the matter is debates aren't really changing anybody's minds. Maybe you're changing the minds of the people who are spectating, but the two people engaging each other, no, they've already have their minds made up. They already have their points made up. There really is going to be no real bridging of the gap. I don't think we disagree here that, if people are facing violence for the words that they're speaking, that's wrong. And I will always condemn that. If people are being taken out for the things that they think I also think that's unacceptable. However, when you make certain comments, it does make me less sympathetic towards you as a person when bad things happen. Doesn't mean I think you deserve it, but it does mean that, my empathy chip doesn't activate as strongly when I then have to hear about you saying things like black people are stealing white people's jobs and how we don't think at a high level compared to them and things like that. So again, I never stand for people being violent towards others over the things that they say. I also think there's a responsibility on other people's ends to do their best to speak words with love and not try to aggravate people with the words that they say. But I know that, there's no responsibility to be had when it comes to what comes out of people's mouths. I will say, though, violence is not the answer. I'm never standing for violence, in case that wasn't clear in that follow-up video. I guess for me, my issue with Dr. Umar is that this issue, to me, had nothing to do with him. This issue, to me, had nothing to do with him. Because he is supposed to be promoting Black issues, Pan-Africanism, the advancement of Black people, and he's worried about a white political commentator. To me, this was out of his range. This is not really his scope. He made his platform about talking about Pan-Africanism, Black issues, not really about people over there. He's always been very quick to, we all hear him talk about Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. And he's always kind of working to push down white people and uplift Black people. And so to me, this wasn't even a topic he needed to address or needed to discuss. And that's the point I was trying to make in the video. I can understand where you're talking about that, oh, if they could come for Charlie, they could come for him. No one's gonna come for Umar. Umar is a low-level demon at this point. He's nobody that they're gonna be concerned with. Charlie, honestly, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I truly think that if Charlie Kirk had continued for another 15 years, maybe another 20 years, he could have possibly been a VP. He could have possibly, afterwards, tried to aim to become a president of the United States. He was already talking to cabinet members and lawmakers. He was a close advisor with Trump. So he was already on that trajectory to getting himself to that next level. So, like it or not, he was making moves. He was making moves. And, you know, I've screenshot so many things, and maybe I should start reading them. I don't want the story to become stale before I read the screenshots, but I also don't want another community guidelines strike. So I'm debating. So BX Cortez 2050 says, true, these two are literally polar opposites, but only one will get the flags lowered and fly on a VP plane. Fair points. So Jamel Lorick says, absolutely, and that is the white privilege that many white people say doesn't exist. Charlie Kirk had many racist, bigoted rhetoric, but now he's being called a hero. It's sickening. Yeah, that last bit you said I agree with, because if a black person had said half the things that Charlie Kirk said about white people, there's no way that he would be getting this much attention. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised at all the hubbub that's going on about Charlie Kirk. We have past and present politicians posting about him. Flags are at half-mast. Now they're talking about where they want to potentially show off his body. Like, it's a lot of fanfare. Even was it the Yankee Stadium? That was the one that said, we're going to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And I'm thinking, weren't you the same ones getting on Colin Kaepernick's case about bringing politics to the NFL? Or let me see. Hold on. Let me quickly look, because that might be a different league. Hold on. Okay, so on this article, it's on heavy.com. So they're saying that apparently 5 teams on Sunday chose not to hold a moment of silence or tribute for Charlie Kirk. The Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Minnesota Vikings. All the rest, it says 8 teams on Sunday did hold a moment of silence or a tribute for him, with some teams noting the moment acknowledges the 24-year anniversary of the September 11th attacks as well. So those teams were Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, New Orleans Saints, New York Jets, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, and Kansas City Chiefs. Now, yeah, I guess for me, what I'm saying is that I believe that Dr. Umar sees himself and aligns himself a lot more with all of these political commentators, because he himself is also a commentator. So not necessarily disagreeing with you. I guess my point in making that video is that I believe that Dr. Umar's role is to mind his own black business and not get involved in what these white people are doing. I understand that we kind of disagree on that point, because you think that, you know, if it can happen to somebody else, it can happen to him. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, I still want to reiterate that violence is not the answer. So thanks so much for your comment. Appreciate it. Hopefully that clarifies my stance a little bit more. So yeah.